Hello everyone, my name is Luke Irvin from A Taste of AZ magazine, and I'm here with our wonderful writer Christina Barwetta to interview a chef in Scottsdale. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and where we are?
My name is Russell LaCase, executive chef here at the beautiful, iconic Hotel Valley Ho in downtown Scottsdale.
And when you say iconic, it really is, that's like the perfect word for it, because I remember when I was driving past here as a young man, a very young man, like 5-10 years old approximately, and seeing it and going, what is that place? And one day when I'm older, I want to go in there and eat at that place and experience what's going on there.
And here you are.
Yeah, exactly. I came across the showstoppers. You know, there's so many big things coming out of this place. So before we get into Valley Ho and ZuZu and everything that you're doing food-wise here, go ahead and talk a little bit about where you grew up and what that looked like.
I was born in Utah, moved to Chicago at a pretty young age, 6-7 years old. You know, my dad was kind of a self-taught cook at home, no professional training or anything, but I always loved food. You know, food was always a big part of our house, and my grandmother, you know, we'd go and always a lot of hospitality and always trying to feed everybody. You know, she was, you know, kind of that Hispanic background, so she would, you know, every time we'd go over, it was like eat, yeah, like just stuffing the kids full of food. You know, so food was always a big part of life for us. And then moved to Chicago, moved down to South Carolina when I was right getting into high school, about 13, 14 years old. And you know, I went through those stages like most kids where, you know, you want to be with your friends and hang out and rebel a little bit and push back. And I got a job washing dishes at this little restaurant on the beach. Man, I just fell in love with it. It was kind of this pirate's den of, you know, misfit cooks, and I was this young kid who was like, this is awesome, right? It was like the coolest thing I'd seen.
I fit right in.
Yeah, I was like, I want to be these guys. You know, my dad and mom were like, no, you don't want to be those guys. But, you know, it was just something I loved, like the camaraderie of it. I loved the banter. I loved kind of the, like that, you know, whole, you know, that old school kitchen type mentality. And, you know, I worked there for a little while, and I kind of cooked odd jobs, cooking jobs through high school. Didn't really take it serious. You know, I liked it. I made money and was able to hang out with my friends and, you know, support the shenanigans of a weekend, right?
Sure.
But about 18 years old, I graduated high school. I moved back to Park City, Utah. Started working front of the house, hotels, a lot of hospitality end of things. Really learned that hotel side. And then I was about 23. I said, you know what, I really don't want to be in the front. I don't want to serve. And I was always into the food. I wanted to kind of work towards something that was going to be a career, a little more lifelong. So I didn't want to be a lifelong server. It was just something I was like, you know what, I want to be in the kitchen. I want to be in the food. I know that's going to take a lot of work, but you know, I always looked at the ceiling was much higher in food than it was front of the house, you know. And there's obviously very successful front of the house people and servers and managers and, you know, maitre d's and all of those guys.
But you liked the chaos of the back of
I loved the chaos.
The kitchen.
I always loved that part of things a little bit better. And then, like I said, you know, it was that time when cooking was really getting popular on TV, and, you know, it was just becoming more and more popular. And not that I ever really wanted to be a TV chef. It was just, you know, I'd already had a lot of experience cooking, and I kind of knew what it took. And I was in Park City, wanted to get out of the snow. I moved here to golf year round, and
you said, this is pretty nice.
Yeah, this is pretty nice here, and got a job working right out of culinary school. Went to Arizona Culinary, got a job with Lee Hilson over at Royal Palms in 2000.
Shout out to Lee. He's been on the podcast too.
He is one of my favorite people in life. I love that guy.
Me too.
Such a good guy. I learned a ton from him, and some hard lessons, some good lessons. You know, worked with some amazing cooks and chefs there. 2006 to 2010. And then kind of made my way across the mountain over to work with Bo at Sanctuary, which was...
And a shout out to Bo.
Again, another unbelievable experience there. And
that's Bo McMillan at Sanctuary.
Yes. You know, I started right when it kind of was renovated, so I got the luxury of kind of using this brand new Ferrari kitchen that he put together and this beautiful table 12, and really kind of propelled my chef career up at that point. I was, cooking a lot, and I just kind of getting into the chefing side and the managing side, and learning how to hold culture and build teams, and manage all the young guys and stuff. So spent about 7 years there. Turned 35 and was ready to branch out.
That's a lot to accomplish, though.
Yeah.
Before 35.
Yeah. No, I felt it was a lot of work. Like I tell the young guys, I'm like, don't think you don't have years of hard work in front of you, because it's there. And I was fortunate. I had some doors open up in front of me that could have been years later. So, I spent 7-8 years with Bo, learned a ton, got to do some great events. I met a million people, and, really, really, I can't say enough good stuff about him and that crew and that whole, that resort over there. But, I was at a point where my wife was pregnant. We were getting ready to kind of, enter that chapter of life, and I was ready to kind of make a move. So this was a sister hotel of Sanctuary at the time in 2016, really. And then, so I knew the owners here. I've met them. I cooked for them a million times at Sanctuary and had tons of support. And I really felt like this was going to be a great first chef role for me. And, 5 years later, here I am. And
it's become your home, right?
We've really worked hard to turn it into what it is today. And, obviously pay homage to what it was. And Chuck did such an amazing job, Chuck Wiley, of creating the space and creating the thing. And, it was kind of fun to just take the torch and keep going with it and put my own spin on it. So,
if you could give us a brief introduction of Chuck and what his involvement was here.
Chuck was executive chef / F&B, kind of that chef and B role here when I started. He was really the vision behind the original ZuZu restaurant and, corporate chef of West Rock Hotels.
He's on the podcast next weekend.
Yes.
Yeah. Chuck's, he's a legend in this town, right? Anyone you talk to has worked for him at some point or worked for someone who worked for him at some point. And, it's great to be involved with guys like Bo and Lee and Chuck and have learned from some of these guys. And I didn't work directly with Chuck a lot, but when I started, he welcomed me very well. He walked me around. He, gave me all the tools that he had to the hotel and said, here's my baby. I'm going to go open a new one. So we still talk here and there, and, when I need some advice on something. And again, I definitely reach out to those guys for help when I need it. But Chuck's amazing. I mean, he's, like I said, he's worked with so many people in town, and just huge reputation for that guy.
Big part of our culinary scene here.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
So when you come in here and start taking over with your role, are you kind of revamping and renovating the menu, or are you just kind of taking what he did and bringing it along?
It was a slow transition. I didn't want to come in and just wipe out the menus that had been doing well here before.
Mm-hmm.
So it was something that I wanted to start. I wanted to start by just getting to know my crew, getting to know my team, seeing what needed to happen in the kitchen, where we needed some help, equipment, all that kind of stuff, and really just get to know everybody and show them that I was not here to just push them around, but I was here to work alongside. So It was a lot of, scrubbing ovens together and cleaning out walk-ins together and, cooking with guys on the line. And, it was a long 3-4 months of just getting to know people. And, you come into a new role, and it's a lot about, again, getting the team to rally behind you a little bit. And that can be pretty tricky sometimes. I tell the younger chefs coming in, I'm like, you need to really get that respect early, and you need to capture their attention quickly, because if you don't get it or you lose that, it's really tough to get back. So yeah, it was a lot about just getting to know this place and figure out where the holes were and the needs were. But as far as the food, I came out with the first big menu change, I think, was in June of 17. So I put about 6 months in before I put a menu out. And it was a pretty big overhaul. I really wanted to kind of make it my own, and we, kept a few things here and there, but it was, let's start fresh, let's start new. And guns blazing. So it was kind of cool. And then,
Do you remember what was the first bestseller off of that menu?
I think it was the scallops. That was a dish that stuck around for a few years. We've kind of, I get tired of the dishes really fast, so I'm ready to kind of move and shift and shake and get them out of circulation. I will hold the ones that do well, the crowd favorites and stuff.
You do kind of a two-part menu, right? There's a chef's specialty
Yeah.
that I think changes more.
Yeah, with the hotel, kind of the thought process. So on the menu, we've got kind of our casual section and we've got a chef-driven section. It really kind of breaks down to casuals being those popular hotel items that most hotels you almost have to have, right? Turkey sandwich, burger, salads, good apps that are very approachable and kind of, those popular items. And we do our twists on them and stuff. And then the chef's side is more of a dinner menu. It starts at 5:30 rather than 2:30. And it's got all of your more eclectic dishes and more kind of upscale ingredients. So, we do a beef tartare, we do oysters, we do these little tuna boba tea shooters, and we do,
Which I think we're going to learn about later in this podcast,
Yeah.
since there's a beautiful array.
This is the steak tartare over here, right?
Yeah, right
Would
here.
you mind handing that over? I'd love to
Yeah,
check it out and take it.
And
absolutely.
I had that last night, and I told Chef it is my new favorite tartare in town.
Really?
There, you
Okay.
got it. There it is. So yeah, that's kind of the way the menu breaks down. We've got the two kind of sections because again, it's tricky at a hotel to change menus a lot because in-room dining and websites and all the stuff that kind of goes around it can get a little tricky. But that was our way of saying, like, we've got both avenues and we can create both, but I don't have to be ready for 40 dishes.
Right. And I always gravitate towards the specialties because I like
Yeah.
to see what you're doing.
Yeah.
And this is one of your new fall dishes?
Yeah, we
Or
put this
winter?
tartare on in
What do you think, Luke?
speechless. We
It's
put
very
this
good.
on in October. It's just good tenderloin, tight diced, Chinese mustard sauce. It's got kind of like a sweet, horseradishy, spicy kind of flavor to it. All those great aromatics that work in a tartare: shallots, chives, parsley, a little drop of mayo. We put the egg yolk on top, good sea salt, black pepper, and then
the mustard sauce,
Mm-hmm.
it makes it so much more of
Elevates
a
it.
bright dish
Yeah.
than like a heavy dish. That is really delicious.
thanks, man. The mustard was kind of our, kind of just a little twist on it. Again, mustard's so classic with beef tartare, that little kind of spicy sweet mustard sauce is just that horseradish.
And I
beef
like the
combo is
sweetness.
great.
I was telling him last night
Yeah.
because you're kind of used to the sharp
Yeah.
mustard with tartare, which is also delicious. But this, I just feel, is almost more elegant.
Yeah, it definitely brings it up a notch, and that's kind of the way we like to cook. It's all very approachable flavors and food, and there's nothing that's going to jump out and be like, what am I eating here? That's just not our clientele and what we do here. It's approachable, it's recognizable, but it's done at a high level and it's elevated and it's playful. It's fun. I think food should be fun. It's an experience, right? So. That's the beef tartare. It's been very popular since we put it on, and we'll probably keep it on for the next menu. So.
Oh, good.
Yeah. And what are some of the other items we have in front of us?
Oh, here we go. So over here we've got this beef. It's a red chili beef guisada, so it's kind of a braised roast of beef. We serve that with this kind of matcha broth. So it's just the braising liquid. We bring it down, we season it, we add dry morita chilies to that to kind of give it a little spice. Very, very simple. I just love kind of the broth with the beef. It keeps everything really juicy. On the side, we serve that with some birria style quesadillas with some Oaxaca cheese, a little matcha salsa, limes and a little radish tossed with sea salt and lime juice. So it's kind of a fun deconstructed style,
Sure.
you know, that like birria taco experience.
It's one of my favorite dishes
Yeah.
on the menu. It's last night I was taking the warm quesadilla, spreading it with the matcha, and then shreds of the falling apart short rib, and it was
And what is the
perfect bite.
color on these quesadillas?
So when we cook the beef, all the fat that comes out of the beef after the braise, we cool it, we take it, and then we put that back into a pot. Just the fat, maybe a little bit of the broth, but it's mainly just the fat. And then we add more red chilies to that.
Okay.
And kind of steep it, puree it hard, and then strain that. And then that's used to actually pick up, the birria style is I'm sure you've seen it. It's super popular these days, but it's kind of a wet, crispy, sloppy style taco quesadilla, right? They use a lot of the braising liquid and fat to kind of cook in there, and
which is key.
Which is key.
Yeah.
It gives so much flavor. And we were just trying to jump in, trying to play off of that, but keep it elevated and not as just a plate of tacos, right?
Well, and the color on the tortillas is so bright and vibrant. I almost thought it was like a carrot tortilla or something like that.
You're like,
'cause
are those
so,
flaming hot quesadillas? Right
It
there?
looks like that. It really does, and they look absolutely delicious. And now you can kind of see the variation in color that you'd get from cooking it like that. And this looks like a grain bowl.
So this is our breakfast fried rice.
Okay.
This is on our brunch menu. Super popular. One of probably our number 1 to 2 seller on the brunch menu.
Really?
Yeah. Chicken sausage, slab bacon, cabbage, mushrooms, red onion, peppers, brown organic rice. We saute all that really hard in a wok. We hit it with a little bit of like a soy chili kind of sauce right at the end. That goes on the plate. A couple eggs over the top. Finish it with that chili crunch that it just makes everything delicious. And a little green onion.
It's hard for me not to order that every time.
It looks so appetizing, and it looks like one of those meals that, like, if you just like went on like a hike or were walking around Old Town shopping all day, and then you have that for breakfast, you just feel rejuvenated. You know what I mean?
It's it's kind of both sides. If you eat too much, it can be really heavy and filling, but it's also like kind of a healthy-ish kind of start to the day. Hearty.
That's healthy enough for me to consider it healthy.
Yeah, I mean, I consider that a salad.
Exactly.
There's a couple veggies in there. So.
And I mean, I never see fried rice, in a mainstream restaurant.
Sure.
Of course, Asian restaurants, it's a breakfast staple like congee or rice. But so I also love that kind of touch.
I jumped on a couple little Asian flavors here and there because I just think that they've got such a robust. You can't duplicate some of those flavors. You have to kind of jump in there, and people love that stuff, and it brings such a different component to the food that I love. So you'll see in our menus, there's little drops of Asian here and there, and that's kind of the, a little nod to the old Elements days, working there and learning all through those flavors. But, what I love and what we've kind of came to at this restaurant is we don't have one. We're not popular American. We're not Asian. We're not this. It's kind of whatever we feel like doing. We could throw Latin inspired dishes or Asian style or Latin style with blue cheese or porchetta sandwiches or poke bowls or beef tartare. I mean, it's all an array of kind of fun chef stuff.
Is that what this is over here? Is a poke bowl?
Yeah, it's a little tuna poke bowl. We serve 1 million of these out at the pool when the pool's rocking, and also in the restaurant. Good Hawaiian ahi tuna. Pickled kind of banh mi style veggies, pickled ginger, avocado, lots of crispy garlic and onion on top, sticky rice at the bottom, a creamy spicy aioli over the top, kind of those good poke bowl flavors that everybody loves.
I thought I was full, but every time he describes a dish, my mouth is watering.
Well, when you said, we're not just popular American or Asian, and if you look at just this table right now, the gamut of cooking techniques and cultures of inspiration is very wide. Just looking across the spectrum, literally, of where things lie. Mm-hmm. So for you, is that kind of how you cook personally, or is that more kind of the inspiration that the restaurant draws that you emulate?
No, it's really kind of I think you hit it when you say it's the way I like to cook. I'm not, one of the hardest things that people ask me, and I'm sure most chefs will agree with this, is what's your favorite thing to cook? And it's like, I don't know. I have no idea.
Depends on my mood, right?
Yeah. I mean, what's today? It's Monday. I like to cook chicken skins and whatever.
Oh yeah, wait till you try these chicken
I love
chicharrones.
cooking everything. I'm a student of the craft. I just love the whole industry and what it does, and that's what I love about cooking. It's different stuff. It's learning something new. You'll never know everything. You're always learning. You're always kind of a student of the game.
Have you traveled to soak up these cooking techniques and whatnot, or is it more something you picked up along the way at different places you've worked?
A lot of where I've worked, I haven't been fortunate enough to get to Asia yet, or Europe a lot. These last 15 years has been long weeks and long days of cooking
and
in
little
restaurants
ones.
and little ones. I got 2 little guys at home, and so yeah, it's been a journey of learning, and but I remember days back in the T Cooks days with just the line cooks. We would cook all day, and then we'd come back to my apartment or one of the guys, and we would do guys would be cooking all night, and we'd be hanging out and drinking beer and shooting the breeze, and guys would be still we'd still be cooking at night, and we'd be talking about food, and then the next morning we'd be talking about this or that, or we'd get to work and everybody's moving half speed, and chefs kind of getting into everybody and pushing everybody to go, and it was just such a cool camaraderie and such a great time in my life of learning and just really engulfing food. And that's really been life since after culinary school, right? And you start having kids and family and stuff, and it changes a little bit, but my wife and I base vacations on where we're going to eat and what we're doing with food, right? So it's just kind of life for us.
You said that you don't necessarily have a favorite thing to cook, but does she have a favorite thing for you to cook?
There's a salad on our menu here that I put together for her when she was pregnant for the first time. It's kind of turned into our house salad. It's Vallejo chopped salad. It's really, she wanted me to call it the Simona salad, but it's really just,
I like that idea. I'm on Simona's side.
Yeah, she's if she's gonna listen to this, that's for you. So it's it's just that great chopped salad, candy bacon, cheddar cheese, tomatoes, cucumbers, Marcona almonds, good crunchy romaine lettuce in this kind of green goddess dressing, and kind of came again first pregnancy. I don't know what I want to eat, every day I don't know what I want to eat. And I made her this salad, and then, I almost had to have everything for the salad in the fridge, because every day it was like, oh, I just want that salad.
At least it was a salad and not
Yeah. So when I came here and started here, my big MO of things when I started thinking about what I wanted to do for food was thinking back to all of the dishes throughout the years that I remember about either going out or that I made, or, things that my wife loved or that other people have told me that they love. And it's just, again, thinking back to those dishes that everybody loves, right? So, those are the things I wanted to start with, was what everybody wants to eat. And, oh my gosh, I remember that dish I had 5 years ago. It was unbelievable. And, now, so that was kind of the start of the menus and where we went. So that was the new house salad, and it's probably the only dish that's still on the menu from the very first menu we put out in 2017. Really? Yeah.
Are there other dishes that you look back on that maybe have a cool story that you're just like, man, I loved making that dish, or maybe people love that dish?
Sure. Oh man, so many. I mean, again, a lot of inspiration comes through. It's all over the board. You go to dinner somewhere, and you're like, wow, what a great idea, and that was unbelievable. And for me, at least, I remember that 10 years later, and I could tell you that it had this salt and this on it and this plate, and this is what I thought when I ate it, and I remember all of it. And it's I remember a dish we had at a restaurant called Sage in Las Vegas.
I've been there. I love Sage.
White truffle grits with poached egg and truffle foam and white truffles on the top with little brioche toast. And I was like, so it's like 4 ingredients, but it was so delicious.
Strikingly memorable.
Exactly. And I came back and first menu we put out here, I did kind of a riff of that with lobster and the foam, the truffle foam.
Oh my
Darn it, I must have missed that one.
Yeah, with the brioche toast.
And Sage isn't open anymore, I don't think.
No,
They used to have a great absinthe cart, too.
Man,
Really?
one of my favorite spots in Vegas when it was still there. But I don't know what's there now.
We might have to have Russell do a greatest hits,
Yeah.
a special.
Well,
I
so
should.
you've had wonderful dishes, of course, many different versions of it. But as I understand it, you are also a fan of Crispy from the shop. Is that one of many local beers that you're into?
Yeah, Crispy. I can't remember where I had it the first time. I think my brother-in-law brought it over to the house, and I was like, "Oh, that's kind of a cool can, right?" And I started drinking. I was like, "Man, I'm such a lager guy, especially in the summer. I run about 10 degrees hot all the time, so I don't like heavy beers. It kind of just weighs me down. I always kind of just stick to the ice cold."
That must be because you're in the kitchen for so much, your body just acclimates that it's 10 degrees hotter in there.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's. I don't know. I've always my whole life, I passed it to my kids too, who, get the face sweat. I laugh because I'm like, you got.
I
the
recognize
gene.
that.
Yeah, you got the gene right there.
Yeah, and I tried it for the first time last night, the Crispy, because of Russell, and
so good.
it was a perfect pairing, I think, for these
Ooh,
chicken. So you might need to dive into that.
I think I might.
Russell, if you want to share some details.
Yeah, so chicken skins and pork rinds. I just love kind of that next. That layer of flavor you get from that and kind of the crunch factor from that. So we take the skins, we boil them out in salt water, and then we lay them on sheet pans. We let them dry a little bit. We put them in the oven to just kind of lightly dry out. And then on the we order in, we drop those in the fryer. We toss them with this kind of it's a kind of a Korean dry rub spice mix that we made. It's got citric acid and Korean chili powder, some other stuff in there, and then we serve that with kind of a matcha sauce, but we add a little bit of kind of that classic buffalo sauce to it, just to give it that kind of sweet tartness to it.
And listen to this crunch, too.
Yeah.
Oh, nicely
man.
done.
That was nice.
Yeah, I could not stop eating those last night.
Smoky blue cheese, Lamouti blue cheese, a little, and then just some little charred, like pickled escabeche that we make. I think the char is nice, little tart pickly veg and blue cheese. So again,
it's such a clever play on buffalo chicken.
That's exactly
Oh,
what it was.
way better.
Yeah, that's exactly where it started was that again, popular, very approachable, recognizable something, but a fun little twist with the matcha and the blue cheese and the pickles and
Well, and obviously this is very Latin inspired, but to me, at least on a personal connotation level, is that this to me is like true American cuisine, right? Taking all sorts of different things and blending it into a dish that would never be created anywhere outside of maybe
Right. I mean,
ZuZu.
that's how buffalo chicken was invented.
yeah.
So it's
it's for me, it's like, how do you define American food? It's but pizza and spaghetti and burgers and tacos. I mean, it's everything. It's like it's a culmination of all genres, right? So, I don't like to be confined to one thing. If I go out to dinner and I'm like, man, that green papaya salad was one of my favorite things. I came back and we do a kind of a play on a green papaya salad at night, and it's one of my favorite things. It's crunchy and spicy and sweet and textured and ice cold, and it's just so good and so refreshing, and one of my favorites on the menu.
I took my leftovers home from dinner last night. We have a refrigerator in
Okay.
the room, and that was my midnight snack.
My
good
my
one.
fiance's grandmother always says, "Oh, you should open up a restaurant. You're so good at cooking." And I'll make chili or something like that that's super simple. And then I have a dish like this, or another one that pops into my head is the salmon tartare tacos at the McBrasserie, where it's like in a wonton for the tortilla, and it's just taking different cultures, different techniques, and merging them together into something that I personally would never be able to execute.
Yeah.
Those to me are really, really exciting and unique dishes. Is there another example of what's on the table and maybe, you know, how you come up with something like that?
Let's see, like porchetta sandwich. You know, who doesn't love porchetta and like the technique that goes into that?
Sure.
I think a lot of times I try to stick with food that you go out to eat for. I mean, I think people go out to eat.
That's a good way of putting it.
Anyone can make, not anyone. I hate to say that. You know, I don't cook like this at home. I mean, let's be honest. You know, I'm a huge fan of like putting a pot of chili on and then, you know, drinking beer and eating chili and watching hockey, right? I mean, those are like my favorite things. I'm such a simple guy when it comes to like eating like that. I mean, I love going out and experiencing the whole show and the thing, but that's why you go out. You go out to try stuff and to try new things.
Someone had asked me once that I tend to mention a lot of high-end or really hole-in-the-wall ethnic. And the middle tier, but it's because I usually cook that middle tier.
Sure.
I mean, not as good as some amazing chefs that do comfort food, but so when I go out, I want to come and have like Russell's, his truffle pasta. You know, a lot of people do a drizzle of olive oil, or he actually gets white Alba truffles, slices them, puts them in butter, makes his own butter. And that's one of the dishes on the menu right now.
I don't even know where I would source truffles if I had
Especially
to go find
white
some for dinner
truffles.
tonight.
They're harder to find.
You know, it was, that's one of those things as a cook that, you know, when I'm cooking a chef and, you know, you're sitting with the guys and you make those decisions to say, you know what, we're gonna do it right. We're gonna make it. We're not just gonna put truffle oil in it. I don't want, you know, it's not gonna have the same thing. And I think that I definitely appreciate it. I think the guests appreciate it, and then the cooks appreciate it. I mean, you know, guys like to work with those ingredients and to learn things, and that's why we're here. You know, what's the best way that we can produce this and, you know, look ourselves in the mirror and know that we did it the best way we could.
Sure.
You know, and that's a lot of the mentality is like, how could we do this, but take it up 2 or 3 steps?
Well, you have something like, this is not obviously a direct example of what you're saying or a direct analogy, but if you have like artificial watermelon flavor in candy, to me, that is like one of the most repulsive flavors that I can.
It's so nostalgic though, if you grew up with Jolly Rancher.
Maybe I can eat like 1 or 2, but that's the kind of like flavor that you eat.
Yeah,
like
as you
too
get
much of it,
older,
and
you're like, why did I like this?
Yeah.
But then like you have like
Absolutely.
a fresh watermelon salad and it's like, oh, this is what watermelon is like. I don't really remember it because all I remember in my head is the not so real watermelon flavor. And to go to that level of depth definitely creates a unique experience. Not that other people aren't using truffles, but like you were talking about before, you know, 99% of people, if there's any truffles being used at home, it's already in
not
oil
that
or
that's a
something.
bad thing. I
Sure.
there's some delicious dishes, but I appreciated that extra step that you took to, you know, put your spin on a dish.
You know, and we're not that restaurant that can afford or, you know, not that we can't afford it, but it's not our restaurant to have, you know, table side shaved white truffles on your pasta, right? I mean, so, you know, for us to do it and to do it effective, we bought in the truffles. I was telling Christina last night, it was very rewarding to take a half pound of white truffles and just grate all of them into a big bowl of butter. You know, it's like,
is that like the chef's version of
$1,200 worth of truffles, and I'm just like destroying them into this butter, right? It was
and then
very
he took
rewarding.
A big spoon and
And I was, you know, a little cologne on the neck, and it was. So, you know, putting it in the butter and letting it kind of steep in, and then salting it and whipping it, and then we pack it in little, you know, we actually weighed it all and put it in little 8-ounce delis, and you know, froze it, and then we pull it out and make sure we get, I think it's 6 orders out of a deli, short deli or something like that. But it's all kind of strategically done, because again, it's $1,200 for that, and if it's mismanaged, it's gone like that, and we can't savor those ingredients. But so that was kind of our, do we buy truffle oil and use that, or do we buy this expensive product, whip it into a bunch of butter and save it and stretch that out for a couple months? So that was what we did.
Imagining you shaving the truffle like that is almost, I don't know if you've seen like the money guns where you load in a wad of cash and it just sprays them out. That's almost like the chef version of shooting a money gun.
Yeah, I mean, I did it just like that too. I kind of like put it up in the air, and like it's just falling.
They waft.
It's just truffle snowing in the kitchen, and we had some music going.
Sounds like a good time.
Yeah, it was fun.
A crispy off in the corner, maybe.
Crispies. Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and one cool thing about the restaurant, if people come in, you can send, like, what's it called that you can send the kitchen around?
Oh, we do.
Really?
That was something we started doing. Because we had people who were like, how we want to tip the team, right? And more and more of that coming around. I think the appreciation for back of the house is getting a little more recognized out front, and we wanted something that people could throw a little gratuity to the team. It's cheers to the culinary team.
Yeah, I think that's what it's called on the menu, right? Cheers, and you can buy them around.
You buy them around
beers or something.
It's like $6 or something like that.
But I love it because I don't see it that often, but to me it always gives a connotation like this is a fun kitchen and a kitchen that enjoys. So I always
we didn't want
that.
it to be like hokey and like, hey, so we
buy me a bottle of Stoli Elite.
Yeah, hey,
you're telling me you didn't petition very heavily to get that on the menu?
I just didn't want it to be hokey. That was all. I said I like the idea, and I think people appreciate it, and I know the cooks will appreciate. We split it between all of them, so it's it's
the thought, like you said.
It's the thought,
like he says, it's only $6,
but
it's
nothing.
The whole.
Yeah.
It's like I said, the connotation and like, oh, I want to do that.
And it comes right in the printer, the kitchen printers, right? So we're in the middle of a busy night, and 3 cheers to the culinary team, and one of the cooks brought in this cowbell. And he starts like clanging the cowbell, and I'm like, okay, put the cowbell away.
And then the white truffles come out, and you start shaving them, and it's a party.
Hip hop comes on, just boom, and the truffle. Yeah, no, it's fun, but the cooks have fun with it. Like I said, they're not, it's not changing their life, but it's just something cool that they see middle of a busy time, and it's kind of that high of like, oh, cool, these guys obviously love their food and threw a few bucks to the kitchen team. So
well, I must have seen it in a bunch of old movies, but there's always the one person that's like, oh, send my regards to the chef.
Yeah,
and where does that really go? I mean, maybe they hear it, they're like, okay, cool, you buy them around, everyone's partying back there, like you said. The white truffles come out and the hip hop comes on.
Man,
the hip hop comes on.
Give these cooks a few beers in there in hog heaven, man. They're having a good time.
That's how you get a better meal too, right? Do that. Come in, order the round for the back of the house right away. That way you know that everything's coming out.
Yeah,
like a dream.
Table 31, bump that one up.
Yeah, exactly.
Take care of them. Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, cooks love it. They really have had some fun with it. Again, it doesn't change their life, but it's just good recognition. It's almost just one of those things that it's not about the money. It's about a guest saying, those guys are awesome.
Yeah.
I want to do something for them. And that was where I said, I'm okay with it. I don't want it to be gimmicky and kind of hokey and us asking for people to give us their money. Cause you
can tell. I mean, I don't know if you noticed, Luke, like in the beginning of the podcast, how Russell talks a lot about how he tries to mentor and teach this. And I think that stems from that.
Yeah.
If it said buy a beer for Russell, then maybe we'd be like, okay, it's a little gimmicky.
Yeah, that's
right?
what I actually pushed for. I said, I want shots coming to me all night.
Right, yeah. Luge in the back, right, where someone did, and then the bell rings, and then you just go up to the luge, and it comes down
like the bank. You put the beer in, and it shoots up, and it lands in my office. Yeah. No, to kind of Christina's point, I I do. I learned a lot about culture at the at the Royal Palms, at the sanctuary, working for these guys, and how important that is in cooking, to have a great restaurant and to retain great cooks and to keep their attention. It's just providing an environment that they want to be in and that they have fun with, that they're challenged and learning and the growth, and they have opportunities to move up. And it's almost my number one focus, right behind the food. It's just keeping the cooks engaged, giving them some creative freedom, giving them an outlet to produce something that goes in the menu or goes out to a guest that the guest is like, that's awesome. And then, that cook's chest is up a little bit and they go out and they're proud. And,
and the chef, this is his specialty today, Chef Sosa.
John Rivero.
His Instagram name is Chef Sosa, so I have it in my head. But and this is, it's only, this will come out after, but maybe you'll bring it back. But it's only special for the weekend.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, that was one thing that I wanted at this restaurant, was lots of playfulness and new items. One thing at a hotel that, through my experience of the last couple of hotels I worked at, it's really hard to kind of capture some of these like hyper seasonal ingredients. Razor clams, or spring in Arizona is about 2.5 weeks long, and you really can't get some of these things.
I remember you had a razor clam dish.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Yeah. Because I was so impressed, because I'm from New England, so I had seen razor clams, but I think it was the first time I'd seen them here on the menu was because of you, Russell.
Oh, but we wanted to be able to put that stuff out there, and so when we created the menu, the physical menu has kind of this little fold out that has a little piece of paper that we can slide into a slot that we can change all the time, right? So that gave us the ability to do a lot of features, do a lot of fun off the cuff stuff, and get some of these ingredients in that at a hotel are hard. It's hard to switch menus a lot. It's hard to change them because there's so many areas that have the menus, and it's on the websites, and it needs to be coordinated, and the training and the service team, and there's so many steps that I don't think people realize into changing menus.
I'm glad that it works out well for you to do it that way, but it is a travesty that this is not going to remain on the menu. The porchetta sandwich. That is absolutely fantastic. What all is on here?
Maybe we can talk them into doing this when the episode airs.
Yeah, can I beg you to do it again? Yeah. What is on here? It's so good.
Let's see. We've got it's got kind of like a little green cabbage type slaw, spicy aioli. It's really just heavily focused on the porchetta. There's so much technique that goes into that, and
it's like a pork loin with a pork belly rolled around it. I think, and Chef John had said, whereas usually you slice it, he took the skin and crumbled it. Which man. I was telling him I like even more, because you're getting a little crunch in every
You
bite.
Posted a photo the other day of a porchetta from somewhere else.
That is Fabio's, which is actually on the cover of 101 Best Dishes in Phoenix Magazine.
Yes, check that out. Written by, you were involved in that, or did you write the whole thing out?
I actually wrote his little blurb. I wrote some of the blurbs in there. So I was really honored. It's the first time I've gotten to be a formal contributor to Phoenix Magazine. So thank you, Phoenix Magazine.
Nice.
I was really thrilled.
Awesome.
Well,
that looked great, by the way.
Yeah, it was delicious.
I gotta get over there and try that.
We'll join you, because we live about 10 minutes away.
Got it.
Double date.
Let's do it.
And there's a little patio the kids can kind of wander around.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't want the kids.
Let the kids. No, let them run around in the parking lot. I'm just kidding.
And we've been, so excited about the food. Obviously, it's no secret. Russell is one of my favorite chefs in the Valley.
Sure.
Oh,
but the hotel itself is so unique because of its mid-century modern.
Is that something you can speak to?
Yeah, absolutely. It is. It's very unique. Kind of a cool story. So the new owners bought it believe it was bought in 2005. I could be off a year on that. But kind of a cool story. So the tower, the large tower, the hotel was not there. New ownership bought it, and they wanted to put this tower in. It was kind of just a 2-story building at the time, and they were like, "Hey, we want to put this tower in." And City of Scottsdale said, absolutely not. We don't put, large, tall buildings in like that. And they were digging around through a closet of papers and going through stuff, and next thing you know, they find this grant from the city that granted them access to building the tower. But this was from like the 60s, right? The very original owner had put into the city to build this tower and this vision to build a tower, but never did. But he had granted, they had allowed him to do it.
Wow. So talk about farsightedness,
it almost sounds
right?
like the current owners built the first time machine, went back, got the grant, waited a long time because it just played out too perfectly for them.
It was perfect. And I just think that's such a cool story. I mean,
that is. I've never
heard
that
in the
story.
in the 50s or 60s had this vision. That it was way before his time,
and it makes sense because to me it fits. It's what you see when you're driving in this part of Old Town, but it feels like it was meant to be that way.
Yeah, I can't say enough awesome things about what the ownership has done to the hotel and how they keep so true to the mid-century modern and what this hotel kind of represented to Scottsdale. I mean, it was the retreat for Bing Crosby and the Rat, all those guys back in the 50s that, this was a retreat that was hard to get to, right? It was, out in the middle of nowhere. And how they've kept a lot of it, but also, we renovated the restaurant and kind of modernized it, but kept the same feel and, really try to play into that. But, the ownership's been just amazing at keeping that retro mid-century feel and not ever going away from that. It has to kind of tie in.
I feel like even when you do renovations, you keep that aesthetic, but you make it more vibrant somehow. Yeah. It's like magic.
Yeah, and kudos to the guys that kind of did the design work for the restaurant design in 2019, because I couldn't. When we were talking about it before it even started, I was like, I don't know how to envision mid-century modern, but bring it into. Scottsdale.
Right.
Scottsdale food scene is so much about, going out as much as it is the food, right? And the experience. And I think that, not just Scottsdale, but that's kind of, going out is part of, it's the experience as well as the, it's getting dressed up. It's going out somewhere. It's, taking your wife or your girlfriend out or whatever and enjoying being out. And that's what we kind of needed was a little refresh to the dining space. I felt like the cocktail program, the food program, and the service was coming around, and we were just trying to keep pushing, but we needed that kind of new life to the restaurant.
And this is part of the 2019 renovation. This private room.
Yeah, we call this the Rosie room. Rosie was the grandmother of the owners. And she, ZuZu, they called her ZuZu as kids, and they'd go to ZuZu's house and have family dinner, and it was very much a hospitality-driven, grandmother. You come over and you eat, and you sit around the table and stuff. So that was really the inspiration of the original restaurant, was family and coming in, and we, taking people in and showing them our hospitality and kind of creating that experience, right? So. Which I love. I think that's that's why, that in my opinion is what all restaurants should kind of focus on is this is our house. You're coming to our house. We're gonna make sure you feel like you're at home and have fun. And that's what hospitality is.
Like back in the day when you're cooking with your friends, just having a good time after work, enjoying it. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's, there's nothing pretentious about it. It's, there's no egos around it. I try to keep it fun and approachable with the team. We're here cooking food, guys. We're not building rockets, and we're not, you know, saving lives. We're cooking food for people. We're having fun with them. They should be having fun. It's not, you know, yes, we take it very serious. We put a lot of work into it, and we really, you know, push the craft, right? But it's the end of the day, it's like whenever I find myself getting too overly upset about something or too hyper focused, I'm like, you know what why am I so upset? You know, I've got a great job, I've got a great team, I've got, you know, a great family. I'm here cooking food for people. Should be fun, right?
And it shows, Russell.
Thank you. Thank you.
So to bring it kind of full circle, you mentioned earlier how you do poke bowls poolside all the time when the pool is up and running and popping. Kind of run through what it looks like for someone, whether they're staying here or not staying here, what the dining option and what it kind of looks like to come in and actually dine here.
Man, starting with brunch, we do brunch every day. That was something we changed in 2019 after the renovation. Brunch was always super popular on the weekends here, so we were like, you know what, let's try this. There's not a lot of brunch everyday places, and I think we had the space for it and the kind of the reputation of it. So, and it's been very successful. People kind of love. There's not a lot of places in town that you can go get eggs Benedict at 2:00 in the afternoon or eat a burger at 7:00 in the morning. And that was kind of the thought. It's like, let's do something different and be able to do this stuff in the middle of the, you know, in the morning, right? And randomly some guy shows up and wants a burger at 6:30 in the morning, and it's like, I like this guy, he's awesome.
I got you.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of our brunch feel, 7 days a week. You check into the hotel. We've got beautiful suites up in the tower. We've got the older rooms that are just so unique in their own way and have kind of a more of a that mid-century modern feel. And then you get into the tower and some of the suites like Christina's staying in now.
It's 2 levels.
It's
It's
like being
stunning.
in Vegas. It's like, you know, it's got the floor to ceiling glass, you know, up looking over the pool, or looking out at Camelback Mountain and the sunset on the other side.
Each floor has its own private balcony. There's 2 full bathrooms. There's a gourmet kitchen with a sub-zero refrigerator, which I really want to take home with me. And it's, I mean, I was thinking, you know, that'd be a perfect thing for if somebody was getting married, because it's so roomy. You could do this nice, intimate, you know, little get-together for the people in the wedding, or, you know, have a drink with family coming out of town. So, and
there's, you know, that room you have is one of about 12 different designs of rooms in the tower. You know, there's the presidential suite, there's the single levels with the full kitchens, there's ones with giant tubs in the middle, and I mean, there's just, every room's kind of got its own little twist and tech, you know, and thing to it. So you got to get a best of both worlds. You know, some people love staying in the older rooms by the pool and being poolside and stuff, or some people love the tower suites. You know,
it's like the menu, something for everyone.
Exactly. Try to hit everybody. It's, you know, trying to make everyone happy, which is probably impossible, but
I think you do a good job.
We try. Oh, thanks. So check-ins, that brunch every day. The pool scene in the summer is a ton of fun. You know,
and you have special events, I think, in the summer too, right?
We do a lot of special events. You know, we're always trying to keep busy with local programming and local things. We did our Chefs and Farmers Market series for a couple of years.
Oh, right.
COVID kind of took that away from us for now, but it'll come back. We've got some fun stuff we're thinking about for this summer, as far as we've done this sip and shop program where you can come in and buy a ton of different wine and taste some wine and, you know, have a small bite. And we do this great wine. All the purveyors are here, tons of great wines for you to come in and buy, and at good pricing, and you know, it's been great for us. I think the guests come in and love it. We're not trying to make, you know, it's not marked up as much as you would at a restaurant, so it's approachable for people to come buy wine. And so we're going to take that idea and kind of meld it with the Chef and Farmers Market. So we'll have some local guys out there selling some stuff. We'll have tons of wine and booze and beer for sale. Fun stuff for maybe the kids, and we haven't worked through all the details, but it's something we're working on for this summer.
Good, I'm glad that's coming back.
Yeah, that sounds like a good time.
It is. It's a ton of fun. You know, collaborating with chefs, and I think that's important to kind of you know, it's such a tight community, and to keep supporting our neighbors and our people around us.
I know the last time I went,
important.
since they've been featured in the magazine, we had Twisted Honey, Twisted
Bee,
Twisted Bee,
Infusion or Twisted Fusion.
Yeah, and then Noble Bread.
Yeah.
I went home with a big bag of bread that day.
Yeah. Chula was there. We
Yep.
had Juice Core. We had.
It's a great selection.
Save
Yeah,
yourself
it
a
was
trip all around town and just go to that so you can get everything. in
Yeah.
one spot.
And in the summer, it was
Yeah.
inside. So
It
it
was
was
inside.
air conditioned. It was like going to the farmer's market with air conditioning.
It was, and it was a little more, you know, event style, and we had a bar there and stuff. But,
You had a shake competition at one point.
shake battle, which was pretty
Really?
fun. It was, it was a lot of work. We did so we decided to open it to the public, right? It's like, why don't we just open it up on social media and get 12 ideas from 12 local people, not even cooks or chefs, just 12 people, right? And we started getting all these ideas in, and I was like, you know, so I was going through them and I'm picking which ones I like and which ones I think would be, you know, because the winner got their shake on the menu for that month.
Isn't that such a great idea?
Yeah, it
And
was
the
very
winner
cool.
was so excited.
Oh my gosh, she still emails me and she's like
Super
she
sweet
is
lady.
So sweet. I mean, the video of when she won, I thought she was gonna pass out. She was so excited.
It was so
and she
sweet.
was
I
so
loved it.
sweet. And like, I almost couldn't let anyone else win because I'm like, I'm not, you know.
You can't take that joy away.
Yeah.
Careful,
I
you're
think
going to
she-
get some petitions from other people
Yeah,
that want
right.
that win.
Yeah. Or they want you to do it again.
Yeah.
It was so much fun though. You know, we had these. I had students from EVIT here to kind of help with the contestants because you know these are not cooks, right? These are people with an idea. So I sat down with every one of them leading up to it. We talked through their idea. I told them how they're going to have to do it. They're going to have to show up at this time. They're going to have to produce 500 2-ounce milkshakes
And these are home
These are at home
cooks.
people, and they're like, okay, yeah, 500 shakes. I'm like, yeah, it's you know. I said, look, we're gonna be there to pretty much do all the work for you. We just need you to kind of talk and you know have some fun with it. And so it was. It turned out well. It was definitely, you know, had its moments of like, you know, I'm laughing with someone else and we're like, I don't know what we're talking about. What are we thinking about right now?
But it was kind of fun because it felt so community, you know, like it made me say, here's another reason Hotel Valley Ho just stands out because they're involving
Sure.
the community and they're having a blast. And like now it makes it even funnier that Russell's behind the scene going, what were we thinking?
What are we doing? I remember one contestant, I can't remember her name, but she had this idea. She was like, I want to do everyone gets it in a pineapple and it's got this. And she came with like, I'm not kidding, like 112 pieces of candy that she wanted to individually put.
Wow, she did a lot of work.
She had stuff ordered, you know, because so basically I said, I like your idea. Send me what you think. And then I'm going to take it. And my pastry team pretty much executed all the work and like kind of set them up for it. So I had to take their idea and like, nope, we're not doing this. We're going to do this instead because
Sure.
I know I know that we
Right.
can get that done, right? Because again,
What's feasible?
we were looking at 800 to 1,000 people coming to the market and doing a 2-ounce milkshake for them, and so it was tricky, right? And then so we had this, you know, this woman sends. I said, email me your ideas and candy. You know, pick 2 candies that you want to use, and we'll buy them and stuff. And she sent me an email. It was like a 2-minute scroll, right? You're scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and reading through. There's Amazon this and you know, all these hyperlinks to like this expensive candy and all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry, we're not going to be able
We
to do
can't do that. But I love the idea. She must have been at home thinking, oh, you know, like detail oriented.
yeah.
But then when you
Right.
get into the real world, obviously,
A
that's what
spreadsheet.
I think a lot of people don't realize about restaurants in general is the execution.
Yeah.
And she was high level businesswoman, very smart,
Detail-oriented.
super detail oriented. You could tell she had a job that was very like, I'm gonna lay this thing out. I'm gonna think through every detail because I was like telling my patients, I was like, you should take notes on what this is because this is like incredible
Right.
the detail that she did.
But fun, huh?
I think she got second place. But man, it was like this shake was like it was it was epically huge.
Like if she had one to do, it would have been perfect.
Yeah, because again, and part of the thing went into like I have to produce this shake for a month, and like we sell 400 or 500 of these shakes a month. So this monstrosity that she created, I'm like, there's no way that we can do this.
Well, you could if you charged $800.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it was gonna.
If she brought you 1,500 pineapples, maybe that changes the trajectory.
But I'm so
bit.
intrigued now. I would love to see her vision. Like
I
it
could
must
probably
have been
pull it.
amazing.
It was so intense. I mean, it was literally like she sent me 6 different ideas, and they like full page detail of each one.
Wow.
And, hey, if we do this, then this is what it would have, and this is the garnish, and this is the thing, and it was
like thorough recipe building, but without the perspective of doing it for 1,000+ people.
Yeah, no perspective on operating or restaurant or anything. It was just I have an idea, and I'm gonna put it on paper.
And I know you have to go to another private event, but could you talk briefly, speaking of competitions, about the Versus series that you did?
Yes. So Monday Night Chef's Table we did here for years. That was such a cool event, and you know, we did it for a couple years here, kind of taking, you know, Chuck started it. We did it here for a couple years, and you know, we wanted to kind of just, sometimes the wine dinners for me, they just feel so stuffy and not fun, or kind of, I don't want to come across the wrong way, because I mean, I love
the Versus is totally different. Yeah. You have people rooting and yelling, and so I see what you mean. You want something a little more rowdy.
We wanted something more fun. I mean, that's just kind of our hotel was more fun, not you know, wine dinners, right? Which is, it's not that they're not fun. It's just a little more, you know.
Russ,
you guys have been to wine dinners, and they can get very long and long-winded, and you know, you got this guy up there swirling his wine and doing his thing, which is cool, right? But we were like, you know what? Let's do something different. Let's try something fun. We're always trying to find that niche thing, right? So we did beer versus wine first, and you know, people were having so much fun. It's the first one. We had Brad Perry in here emceeing the thing, and you know, we pushed the contestants to have, you know, light banter, you know, in quotes, right? Because we've had some that have gotten a little
not so light,
not so light.
Oh, like really competitive.
Yeah,
oh,
right. Where
funny.
Like shots are fired, and people are getting, you know, like coming back up to the mic. Well, let me talk real quick because I gotta tell you what about this guy. But that's what's fun about it.
Yeah, that's fun for the audience.
You know, I tell the guys that come in, because you got the wine guy in his suit, and he's here, and he's like, you know, how does this thing go? And I'm like, look, have fun with it. Talk about what you're doing. This isn't wine education 101. This is why you paired with this dish, and why it's better than this guy's food. Why it's better than this guy's wine or beer or whatever. You know, which I always thought was fun, and it's turned out to be really kind of a cool series. And then we called it the Versus series. So it started as beer versus wine, and then we was like, you know what, let's just call it the Versus series, because we've done tequila versus wine, we've done beer
champagne versus beer. That was a fun one.
Yeah, we've done mixology battles. We've you know, we've talked about doing like battle pastry, right, where 2 pastry chefs kind of go at it between two wineries or something like that.
And it's so well organized. You know, everybody gets a sheet, or I think you can rip off so each guest puts their vote for each course.
Okay, yeah.
And then they announce.
So your menu has at the bottom, it's got little tearaway kind of perforated 3 little tabs. So you get your wine, you get your 2 wines paired. And what I always thought was cool is I write the menu first, and then I send that to the wine and the beer guys, which we all know that it's always the other way around. Oh, hey, here's here's the wine. What's chef gonna pair with the wine, right? So you're always kind of writing the menu last to pair to the wine and what they want to do with it. So for me, I thought it was cool that's like, I can do whatever I want with the food. Now this guy's got to figure out what he's gonna pair with that. And only once have we had someone come back and be like, I don't know what to pair for this. Can we change it? And I'm like, sure, we can change it. But
that's nice that that shows they gave the thought and said.
And some people don't think as much, and then some people really like dig into it. You know, sometimes the the wineries have what they have. They don't have a lot. So I try to, wine pairs a little better with food than beer per se. So when it's beer versus wine, I always try to give a little love to the beer guys and do more kind of, for example, we did a
fried oyster po' boy.
Yeah,
that was my favorite.
Wow.
That was probably
really
one
good.
of my favorite dishes you've ever made.
Yeah, that was good. I remember that. We did a beef cheek grilled cheese with like this smoky tomato soup with horseradish.
Wow.
So it was
good.
like
I
this
remember that.
elevated grilled cheese and tomato soup, right? But that's tough to pair wine with, right? Those are big flavors. And, I think we used raclette cheese, which I don't know if you guys have had.
Yeah,
but
super melty.
you'll smell it down the street, right? It's super strong. And then the beef cheek and the horseradish and tomato.
You know what's funny about that dish? I actually don't remember the beverages, but I remember
the dish?
because it was so, like the bread was just the perfect thickness and super buttery and crunchy, and then like you said, the raclette, it's very melty but much more flavor than most cheeses in the beef
and it's
cheek.
got it's the aroma, right, that's so strong, but it's such a good cheese, right? But when you smell it and it's hot, it just permeates through the room, right?
You're like
It's a
3 days
cheese.
later, you're like smelling, you're jacking. You're
The
like, what is
traditional
that?
way is actually they melt the cheese and then you have like bread or something and they scrape the melted cheese on it. Was it Switzerland or
it's
I forget.
I want to say it's from Switzerland, Europe somewhere.
Yeah,
it's definitely
I'm
got
not
that
sure either.
Europe kind of funk to it, right?
Sure.
But it's usually on this little burner. It's on the wheel is sitting on a stand, and then it's got like a little salamander type burner that sits over the open thing, and then it bubbles, and then it's got this hinge that hinge the cheese up, and you scrape the cheese down right onto whatever, right? Fries.
I need one of those in my kitchen. Just flip it over on everything, right?
Totally. I've got one in my bedroom at home. It's just I wake up and scrape cheese onto myself. Yeah.
tip the toaster? And
Yeah. Oh man, straight out of the toaster, just got the cheese going.
Yeah, I don't even have to get out of bed. I just lay there. And,
you got the kids doing it, right?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, they're playing with fire already. So no. But yeah, no. Again, Versus Series, tons of fun. Like I said, it's gotten such good traction. We try to sell the.
You've been sold out every time I've gone.
Yeah, and we don't try to get overly aggressive with the numbers. We usually cap it at between 80 and 100 people, which we find that on operation side it's smooth. It's a lot of little moving pieces to it, right? You got to get both drinks down, you got to get the food coordinated, then you got to do it, the two contestants talk and all the clearing and the glass flipping, and so it's it's a coordinated effort, right? So it's gotten better and better. The first couple were a little bumpy, right? You're working through your kinks and stuff, but it's kind of come together now, and again, that we have a lot of the same people that show up, and we sell all the wine and beer that we push that night, and it's cheaper than you can get it at the store, right? So we've trying to make good deals for people, and again, it's just a good promo event that we do. It's fun.
Well, after all of that, if you're not sold on a visit here and to one of the wine beer versus dinners, then you must just not like food and beverage.
Yeah,
so,
go to
Chef,
McDonald's.
thank you so much for Thank you so much for sitting down with us. I know you got some more people to make smile, like Christina and I have, just enjoying all of this delicious stuff. So thank you for your time.
Well, love to be back, and thank you guys for having me. This has been a lot of fun. So
thank you,
anytime you want to talk food, I'm always around.
All right, same time next week.
Yeah, right. Awesome. Thank you, Chef.
You got it. Thank you.
Thank you.